Angel Reese just made her Atlanta Dream home debut, stepped into a pre-game interview, and confidently compared herself to reigning MVP A'ja Wilson, saying she's a great player too. Less than an hour later, she was on the floor shooting 1 for 8, piling up 8 turnovers, and hearing boos rain down from her own crowd before the coaching staff finally yanked her out of the game completely. The same fans who packed State Farm Arena hoping to celebrate her fresh start instead watched one of the roughest performances imaginable unfold in real time. At what point do you think Atlanta finally starts questioning whether Angel Reese is really the future of this franchise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Angel, your first game in front of this Atlanta crowd, a sold-out State Farm Arena. What emotions are you feeling right now? I'm super excited. I know the city is showing up for us, and I think we're building something special together. Setting our identity early is important because this city expects a lot from us, and I'm excited to give them that. And this afternoon features 2 major names, you and A'ja Wilson. What's your mentality going into that matchup? Just playing my game and trusting what I do best. I know her game really well because I've watched her a lot. She's obviously an amazing player. She's the MVP for a reason. But I know I'm a great player too, and I feel like I can guard her. Before the opening tip ever happened, Angel Reese had already handed social media the clip everyone was going to talk about. During her interview with NBC's Jordan Cornette, she delivered a statement that instantly spread across the internet because of how bold it sounded. Atlanta had created real excitement around this game. State Farm Arena was packed. Fans were genuinely ready to embrace Reese, give her a clean slate, and welcome her into a new chapter with this franchise. There was actual optimism in the building before the game began. Then she said it. Cornette brought up A'ja Wilson, and Reese didn't downplay anything. She didn't dodge the question or answer cautiously. She looked straight at the camera and basically declared herself part of the same conversation as the best player in the league. She's the MVP for a reason, but I know I'm a great player too. That line instantly changed the mood online. To be fair, confidence is part of sports. Nobody becomes a professional athlete without believing in themselves. In some ways, you can respect the mentality. Reese clearly believes she belongs among the elite. But there's a huge difference between believing in your potential and publicly placing yourself next to someone who already owns MVP trophies, championships, and one of the most dominant resumes in modern WNBA history. A'ja Wilson has already accomplished things most players never even get close to touching. She's built a legacy. She's earned respect through years of elite production, leadership, playoff dominance, and consistency. That level of greatness is proven over time. Meanwhile, Reese is still trying to establish herself at the professional level, still trying to clean up major flaws in her game, and still trying to show she can consistently impact winning basketball. That's why the clip became so brutal in hindsight. Nobody pushed Reese into making that comparison. Reporters weren't baiting her into controversy. She volunteered the statement herself because she truly believed it. And once the game started, reality hit hard. The real superstars rarely have to announce their greatness. They let the performance speak for them. That has been one of the biggest criticisms surrounding Angel Reese over the last few years. She often presents herself like a fully established superstar before actually proving it on the court against elite competition. Confidence is healthy. Delusion is dangerous. And people noticed. The reporters in the room didn't exactly react with excitement after her comments. You could almost feel the hesitation because everyone covering the league already knew the concerns surrounding Reese's game. Her jumper still looked inconsistent. Her offensive efficiency remained questionable. The turnover problem hadn't improved. Those weren't hidden criticisms. Those were things analysts and fans had been discussing openly for months. But instead of talking about developing her shot or improving decision-making, Reese was talking about greatness. She was talking about defending the best player in the world. Then the ball went up. And almost immediately, the internet started putting the interview side by side with the box score. Because the contrast was unbelievable. While Reese was making headlines with pre-game quotes, A'ja Wilson was doing what real MVPs usually do, staying quiet and preparing to dominate. No speeches. No comparisons. Just business. Atlanta tried establishing Reese early. They fed her touches in the post and clearly wanted to make her a focal point offensively. The Dream seemed determined to let her impose herself physically and force Las Vegas to adjust. That plan collapsed almost instantly. Every possession felt like a disaster waiting to happen. Reese would catch the ball cleanly and somehow lose control. Open looks bounced off the rim. Simple dribble moves turned into turnovers. Forced passes sailed into traffic. The same mistakes kept happening over and over again, like the game was stuck on repeat. And the crowd started feeling it. You could sense the frustration building possession after possession because fans had walked into that arena expecting energy, toughness, and star power. Instead, they were watching confusion, missed opportunities, and careless basketball. The excitement from tip-off slowly transformed into tension. Meanwhile, on the other side, A'ja Wilson looked exactly like what she is, an MVP. Calm, efficient, dominant. That's the part that made Reese's pre-game comments age so badly. The difference between the two players became impossible to ignore once the actual basketball started. One player talked about greatness. The other quietly demonstrated it. By halftime, social media was already exploding. Fans clipped the interview. Memes started spreading everywhere. Comment sections turned brutal. People weren't just criticizing the stat line, they were mocking the timing of the comments themselves because the performance couldn't have gone worse if someone scripted it for drama. 1 for 8 shooting. 8 turnovers. Boos from the home crowd. And eventually, the coaching staff had seen enough. Reese was pulled from the floor entirely while Atlanta fans sat there stunned, watching what was supposed to be a celebratory home debut turn into a complete nightmare. 1 turnover. Fine. A couple early mistakes. That happens. But for Angel Reese, the problems just kept snowballing possession after possession until the entire arena started reacting to it. By the end of the night, she finished shooting 1 for 8 from the field with 8 turnovers. And keep in mind, she's not even Atlanta's primary ball handler. Seeing a non-guard cough the ball up 8 times is almost unbelievable until you actually watch the film and realize it was the exact same breakdowns repeating over and over again. Weak catches. Late decisions. Telegraphed passes defenders could read from a mile away. Dribbling straight into traffic while defenders were already anticipating where she wanted to go next. It wasn't one isolated mistake. It was a pattern that kept repeating every few possessions. 6 of those 8 turnovers came in a single half alone, and the atmosphere inside State Farm Arena shifted quickly because of it. The boos started creeping in during the second quarter. That's brutal for a home debut. These weren't hostile road fans looking to troll an opposing player. These were Atlanta fans who came into the building excited to support Angel Reese, excited to embrace this new era, and excited to see her thrive in a dream uniform. But before halftime even arrived, frustration had already started boiling over because the performance on the court looked completely out of sync. Meanwhile, on the other side, A'ja Wilson was putting together a masterclass. She finished with 20 points on 50% shooting, but honestly, even those numbers don't fully capture how dominant she looked throughout the game. Atlanta tried everything defensively. They sent double teams. They fronted her in the post. They tried being physical. They rotated extra defenders into the paint, hoping to force the ball out of her hands. Nothing mattered. When the double team came, Wilson calmly passed out of it. When defenders fronted her, she caught the ball over the top with ease. When Atlanta tried to get physical, she absorbed the contact and kept scoring anyway. That's what real greatness looks like. No speeches. No self-comparisons. No trying to convince people you belong among the elite. Just complete control of the game. And every time Reese turned the ball over, Wilson made Atlanta pay for it on the other end almost immediately. The contrast between the two players sharing the floor could not have been clearer. One player was trying to prove she belonged in the superstar conversation. The other was quietly reminding everyone why she already owns that status. Then there was Chelsea Gray. Gray controlled the tempo like a veteran champion all night long, finishing with 21 points and knocking down the dagger jumper with just 3. 6 seconds left to officially slam the door on Atlanta. After the game, she summed up the night perfectly with one simple line: "Nothing better than silencing the home crowd." That quote hit hard because it perfectly captured the energy inside the building by the end of the night. The final image from this game is unforgettable. A'ja Wilson walking off the court after another dominant performance, calm and composed like always, while Angel Reese sat on the bench in her own arena after being pulled by her own coach before the final buzzer even sounded. And now that image exists forever alongside the pre-game interview clip. That's why this moment exploded online the way it did. This wasn't simply one random bad game. Every player has rough nights. Superstars have off nights too. But Reese entered this game already struggling through the early stretch of her Atlanta tenure. The shooting percentages had been rough. The turnover numbers were climbing. And many of the same weaknesses scouts pointed out years ago were still showing up over and over again at the professional level. That's what makes the criticism harsher now. The production hasn't significantly improved, but the public image surrounding Reese keeps getting larger and larger. So the gap between the superstar image and the actual on-court results keeps becoming more noticeable every game. Meanwhile, players like Caitlin Clark came into the league facing major questions too. Critics questioned whether her size would hold up physically. People questioned her defense. Analysts debated whether her style of play would translate against professional athletes. But Clark approached those concerns differently. She answered them through work, film study, conditioning, repetition, skill development. That process isn't flashy, but the results eventually show up in the numbers. Year after year, her production improved because she focused on fixing weaknesses instead of publicly declaring herself great before fully earning that label at the professional level. And here's the uncomfortable reality that many people still avoid saying out loud. Angel Reese might simply project better as a very strong role player rather than a franchise centerpiece. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Basketball history is full of incredible players who built outstanding careers without becoming the face of an entire league or organization. Not every successful player has to be an MVP-level superstar. But Reese, and frankly much of the media ecosystem surrounding her, doesn't seem interested in presenting her as a role player. They market her like a generational superstar centerpiece. And once those expectations are created publicly, performances like this get analyzed far more aggressively. One analyst watching the game even called it the worst basketball performance I've ever seen on any level, reacting specifically to the combination of 1-for-8 shooting and 8 turnovers after Reese had already compared herself to the reigning MVP before tip-off. And when your own fans start booing during your home debut, that's bigger than ordinary frustration. That's disappointment happening in real time. State Farm Arena sold out expecting a major moment for Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream. Fans traveled to see her debut. They expected energy, toughness, and star-level production. Instead, they watched her shoot 13% from the field, commit 8 turnovers, and end the night sitting on the bench before the game was even over. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson let the scoreboard speak for itself. And now that pre-game interview clip is going to follow Angel Reese everywhere. When do you think Atlanta will finally move on from Angel Reese? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another basketball breakdown.